everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have some more Harry Potter TV show news. And before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed and who's watching my videos. We passed 5K today, which is incredible. That was basically a goal of mine, to be able to get to 5K by the end of 2024, and we did that before even December started. So thank you to you guys, and more videos to come. Alright, now let's just jump into the news. So before we get into the big heavy news of the Harry Potter TV show, we do have some light news. So here is from Deadline by JKR. HBO's Harry Potter series in talks with VFX giant Framestore to bring Hogwarts back to life. It says, exclusive. From the terrifying basilisk serpent to the majestic hippogriff Buckbeak, VFX giant Framestore brought to life many of J.K. Rowling's magical creatures in the Harry Potter films. Now Deadline hears the British company is in talks to return to the world of Hogwarts as Warner Bros. Discovery steps up preparations for HBO's TV adaptation of Rowling's books. A source said Warner Bros. Discovery is also speaking to other visual effects companies, but Framestore is understood to be in a pole position to clinch a contract. A deal is not done yet. Warner Bros. Discovery and Framestore declined to comment. So obviously Framestore, which has won Oscars for its work on Blade Runner 2049, Gravity, provided all visual effects for all 8 Harry Potter movies between 2000 and 2011. Obviously you can see here Buckbeak, that is one of their things that they've done. So this is good news because I want this to be very similar to the movies in terms of like special effects, magical creatures, all that stuff. And you gotta think about it. The merch all has to be the same down the line because they have the theme parks and everything. So like to say, like just the basic stuff from like the Hogwarts robes, that has to be somewhat similar. Or the way Hogwarts looks, that has to be somewhat similar. The way majestic hippogriff looks, the basilisk, and you know, these things, they have to be somewhat similar, I think, in my personal opinion, for merch. Or else you're gonna have so many different versions and varieties, and it might be too much, which is maybe what they want. They did say that they were gonna go and like have a huge merch lineup, but at the same time, they gotta think about their theme parks and things like that, and obviously you gotta keep at least something similar. We will see later down the road what happens. Now that we got the little tiny bit of news out of the way, let's talk about something even bigger. Alright, this one was published yesterday, November 20th, 2024, and this comes from Variety. HBO says Harry Potter series will benefit from J.K. Rowling's involvement. She has the right to express her personal views. I just want you guys to remember this guy's name, Adam B. Very. We're gonna come back to him in a little bit. So this article, honestly, like I've read this already, and this starts off pretty good. And then it goes pretty sour real fast. When J.K. Rowling first went public in June 2020 about her belief that transgender women are men and transgender men are women, many of the stars of the Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter movies, including Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Eddie Redmayne, immediately spoke out in support of trans and non-binary rights and identity. Two of the biggest Harry Potter fan communities, MuggleNet and the Leaky Cauldron, denounced Rowling's views and severed ties with the author's future projects. Now, side note, I actually have on my Harry Potter like idea document the rabbit hole that is MuggleNet, because they are some shady people. Shady. And it's true, they completely cut ties with J.K. Rowling. They refer to her as the author if they ever want to reference her. Otherwise, they just pretend she doesn't exist. And I've had people so much as say, she's not the author anymore. Everyone owns Harry Potter. And it's like, huh? Anyway, whatever. And the Leaky Cauldron went to like woke years ago, so I don't even bother reading them. Like they're an agenda. They're like a loud mouthpiece. That's it. They don't really report the news about Harry Potter. They did once upon a time. Another side note: when I was in like high school growing up, and when the Harry Potter movies were coming out, I'd always check MuggleNet every single day for new Harry Potter news, and it was fantastic to read it. And it's a real shame how MuggleNet just went down the hill. But oh well, here we go. Anyway, let's continue. And Warner Bros. Released a carefully worded statement that a diverse and inclusive culture has never been more important to our company and to our audiences around the world, which, while not mentioning Rowling or trans and non-binary people, did at least put some rhetorical distance between the studio and the creative force behind one of its most enduring and lucrative franchises. 4 years later, the landscape looks quite different. Under new leadership, Warner Bros. Discovery has aggressively expanded the reach of Rowling's Wizarding World, centered on HBO's impending revival of Rowling's book series as a long-form TV show, led by showrunner Francesca Gardner and director Mark Mylord, both alums of Succession. HBO chief Casey Bloys told reporters at a press event on November 12th that Rowling was very involved in the process selecting the writer and director, and her anti-trans statements haven't affected the casting or hiring of writers and production staff for the show. And a spokesperson for the network said in a statement to Variety that his parent company has been working with J.K. Rowling and in the Harry Potter business for over 20 years, and the contribution has been invaluable. Here's the thing, all this, Variety really has to put down anti-trans statement in every single thing that they write about with Rowling. It's like, maybe she's just talking about science, but whatever. We are proud to once again tell the story of Harry Potter, the heartwarming books that speak to power of friendship, resolve, and acceptance, the statement continued. J.K. Rowling has a right to express her personal views. We will remain focused on the development of the new series, which will only benefit from her involvement. A rep from Mylord referred Variety to HBO. A rep for Gardner did not respond to a request for comment. Rowling, meanwhile, has made her campaign against trans identity the central focus of her online persona. On September 10th, she posted the UK open casting calls for the roles of Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley to her 14.2 million followers on X. This article starts to get into the nitty-gritty of an obsessive over Rowling's tweets. It's insane. But here we go. Over the next 2 months, Rowling posted or reposted more than 200 times, excluding replies about trans-related issues, to support her conviction, as she posted on October 7th, that gender identity is defined by little more than a person's subjective feelings, or more accurately, their claim to feel those feelings. Within the same time frame, she reposted or reposted about Harry Potter just 8 more times, including one in which she said she pulled something laughing at a fan expressing their immeasurable disappointment that Rowling was, in her words, very involved with the Potter series. Through a spokesperson, Rowling declined to comment for the story. Now, if you watched my videos before, you will see that tweet that this article is mentioning. We referenced in a previous video, we pulled it up and everything. Now, here is where this article starts to get a little bit shady and honestly a bit slandering, and the fact that they're just talking to all these SJWs in this Harry Potter sphere is really annoying. But anyway, here we go. The industry has never quite faced a scenario in which the sole creator of a beloved multi-billion-dollar global franchise has plunged so unabashedly into one of the culture's most contentious social issues. She's effectively made herself toxic to many within the core fandom, whose devotion began 25 years ago when they were children, and has sustained the franchise long after the books and the film series concluded. This author, Adam, whatever his name is, making her to be out the toxic one, not the audience. Rowling for her opinions. She's the toxic one. She's the bad one. Big bad. Big bad Rowling. It's placed those fans in a vexing dilemma. How can they engage with the new show or any other iteration of the franchise if they vehemently disagree with Rowling's views on gender identity? Well, you can just ignore her views since it's a personal opinion. You can still talk to that person. You can still watch things even if you don't agree with it. Like, are we in a bubble here? How old are these people? You literally just said these people are over 25 years old and they can't grasp this idea of putting things aside and just enjoying things for what they are? No? Okay, now here we go. Here's Melissa. Melissa Anelli, author of Harry, A History, and webmistress of the Leaky Cauldron, notes that the site hasn't updated its popular podcast, Pottercast, since March 2023. Every time we sit down to have a fun conversation about Harry Potter, the conversation becomes angry and depressing, and so we end up not publishing, she says. It's made it less pure and exciting and fun, the way it used to be. All of that now has this layer of right, but the person at the center of it all believes a certain faction of the population isn't real. Oh my god, my head hurts just from reading this. But I just want to point out how hypocritical these people are. So Pottercast is what the Leaky Cauldron has as to what MuggleCast has to what MuggleNet has. MuggleCast was the podcast for MuggleNet, and that's the podcast I used to listen to when I was growing up. Especially in the last few movies coming around, that's when I started to really listen to it. And then by 2016, They went so anti-Trump, and they actually brought up Trump and everything. And I was like, what the hell does real politics have to do with Harry Potter right now? Why are you mentioning Trump in this? And I was like, what the hell? And it just started to get worse and worse. And eventually I was like, I don't need to listen to this anymore. You guys aren't really bringing me news, because there's really no news. In 2016, it was pretty no news except for Fantastic Beasts: Cursed Child. But there really wasn't anything else. And so I stopped, and I only went back to them to listen to what they had to say about the 2018 Crimes of Grindelwald. And it wasn't the same as what it used to be like 10 plus years beforehand or whatever, or like early 2010 in comparison like 5, 6, 7 years later. So I stopped, and I haven't listened to them since. I have no idea what they're even doing, if they're even doing it. I know nothing about MuggleNet. But they have just gone down this rabbit hole of like the ultimate left side. They alienated some of their audience. And it's like, now you're complaining that someone else has done it to you when they haven't actually done it to you? Huh? You hypocrites. I'm just saying, you're all the same. All the same. Anyway, let's keep going. The fandom of 10 years ago was like a utopia, says Kat Mailer, creative director of MuggleNet and the co-author of the unofficial Harry Potter Companion. The emphasis in the Harry Potter books and films on ideals of equality and inclusivity attracted a core fan base, which Miller describes as majority women and very, very, very queer. I'm gonna be honest, I never really met like many gay people for Harry Potter. I don't know any gay men who really liked Harry Potter. Maybe I just never asked them, which is entirely possible, but none of them were like, I love Harry Potter to me. So it's like, okay. Never. Now, as for majority women, no. That's bullshit. You know it, but whatever. And a lot of the men who used to like Harry Potter were pushed out of this fan base because they're not actually accepting of other people with their other people's opinions. Now are they? Just saying. Who were unified in their passion for a story that had reached a rousing and deeply satisfying conclusion. Today, Miller says, the fan base definitely has fractured, and I think that is mostly because of her. There are just too many political things that are interfering with the enthusiasm being at 100%. Well, maybe it's because you keep inserting social and political ideas and ideologies of 2024 into a timeless story. Just saying. It's like inserting all this stuff into Disney Star Wars when it shouldn't be there, but here we are. Rowling's views have indeed invoked sharp words of support as well as dissent, while Radcliffe has continued to express how deeply sad the author's comments on trans issues have made him. Potterstyles, Voldemort, Bellatrix, and Slughorn have spoken out in her defense, and replies to her on X are filled with words of encouragement. For her part, Rowling has affirmed that she's unconcerned about her gender activism affecting her legacy, and in April she made clear that she would not forgive any creative collaborators who have spoken out in opposition to her beliefs. Celebs who cozied up to a movement intent on eroding women's hard-won rights and who used their platforms to cheer on the transitioning of minors can save their apologies for traumatized detransitioners and vulnerable women reliant on single-sex spaces. Even this week, Rowling demonstrated her resolve, rebunking John Oliver, whom she met when he volunteered for a children's charity, Lumos, for speaking on his HBO series Last Week Tonight in support of trans kids playing sports, which the author called absolute bullshit. Well, you know what's ironic, though, about all these statements is that none of them ever said anything about all the death threats and the rape threats that J.K. Rowling received. I guess that's okay, though, right? Right. For any actor joining the new Harry Potter series, Rowling has thrown down a gauntlet they're unlikely to escape once casting for the show begins in earnest next year. And here we go! Just as incoming Trump administration will likely start implementing plans to roll back protection for trans youth and trans healthcare, which has been found to be unhealthy for trans children, according to the new reports from the United Kingdom. Hello? Anyway. You can't fault somebody for wanting to do the job, but the internet and the fandom and the politics of it all are probably going to demand that they say something, Miller says. If you don't, people are going to automatically assume that you agree with Rowling. Why though? This is the problem. This article is so infected with politics and trans rights and everything that you have to make it about that, rather than the statement was, Rowling has opinions and she's allowed to have them. HBO. That's what they said, but here we are going on about Rowling and her trans ideas. Oh my god, here we go. Let's keep going. While some Potter fans have advocated for a boycott of the new series, which Rowling mocked in April 2023, Anneli has grown dubious about how effective it could be. There's the argument that supports it increases Rowling's influence, she says. That doesn't matter. She owns it. It doesn't matter if she has a lot of support or not. It's her IP. You guys are so stupid. Anyway, I don't know how much she can have. Money is sort of theoretical to her. Well, she's a billionaire. It's in the stratosphere of what does a raindrop do to a thunderstorm. 4 years of fan outcry and shine of her work, Anneli says, has not affected the bottom line at all. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you gonna teach her a lesson? The author of the IP, the creator, the owner. You can't do this with your own stuff. Shut up, Melissa. God, people are so stupid. At this point, she sees total disengagement to be self-defeating. If everybody who objects just leaves the floor, we're leaving Rowling with a microphone all alone and has no ability to influence that dialogue. What do you mean, influence that dialogue? You mean, change her way of speaking? Censorship? Because clearly she's talked to people, and you can even go and look at her on Twitter, about different doctors and therapists and things like that, and she's listened to the other side, or as the opposition, as you want to call it, and she's remained on her thoughts and her opinions, and yet you just can't have that. You want her to completely change her mind on everything and agree with everything that you say because you think you're 100% correct. Censorship. I see. That prospect is what prompted Tyler Starr, the Potter fandom expert and co-author of the unofficial Harry Potter vegan cookbook, to take a private informal survey of roughly 250 deeply engaged Harry Potter fans on their feelings about Rowling in the franchise. Well, side note, I'm just saying a side note, but if you're vegan, you probably don't have all the vitamins in your body and you're probably not thinking correctly. I'm just saying. One of his findings, he says, is that 79% of cisgender, which is a slur, respondents felt conflicted about buying a new Potter-related product. So you're openly slurring biological people. Okay. That led Starr to start exploring ways for fans to offset the purchase of Potter material. If you buy a new wand, can you donate a portion of that to a transgender charity, he says. There are so many fans who deeply disagree with what Rowling is saying, but still want to engage in the Harry Potter fandom. You can separate the two, or just buy stuff from Etsy if you really don't want to support her. There are a lot of people who make wands there, fan-made wands. Ironically, while Rowling's actions have undermined many Potter fans' dedication to her, they also appear to have strengthened those fans' solidarity with each other. Abandoning the fandom or shutting it down is not the place we want it to be. We see the values in the community that the fans created. We can love and enjoy that fear without the author. The question now is whether HBO can cast the same spell. So they're basically saying, this guy, Adam's basically saying, we see the value in the community the fans created. We love and enjoy that without the author. Remember how I said that these people were completely ignored JK Rowling and will never say her name? Now this author, Adam's asking if HBO can do the same thing and enjoy the content without the author. Did I get that right, or is that hilarious or what? Now remember how I told you guys to remember the author's name of that article from Variety, Adam B. Very? Well, I did a little digging and I found him on Twitter. So here he is. This is him. This is Adam. Say hello, Adam. Hi. Senior entertainment writer for Variety, went dark on this site in May 2023. Find me on Instagram, link below, and Blue Sky. He, him, there it is. That's what I was looking for. I was just curious. Anyway, guys, that is the conclusion of today's news. Basically, the Harry Potter show is moving forward. They're looking for more VFX people, as well as saying J.K. Rowling is allowed to say whatever she wants, and we're going to continue with the show, as most people would think. And then we have the whole rabbit hole of Leaky Cauldron and MuggleNet. And like I said, I've actually been playing the rabbit hole from MuggleNet for a while. So let me know in the comments below if you guys actually want me to do that or not, because it's a very big project to undergo. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, guys, thanks again for helping me get to 5K, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.